Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening based on wherever you live. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will be continuing our Salesforce interview question series, and this is the part 5 video where I will be discussing about workflows and approval processes. Okay, so let's get started. So the very first question we have today is what are the different automation tools available in Salesforce? So we have four automation processes available or tools available in Salesforce. The very first thing is workflows and approval process. Uh, and then next we have process builders and flow builders. While workflows and approval process are very old, but process builders and flows are new. New in this is not just recent new, but the Salesforce has introduced a while ago. Okay. So in this video and next video, we will be discussing about all these four automation tools. So next question is what are workflows? Okay, even before explaining you about the workflows, I just want to give you a background on what is happening behind the scene for workflows, what Salesforce is doing for Salesforce and all. Okay, so basically Salesforce are no longer used. Okay, no longer used in the sense any new automation we will not be using, or any project or any company is not using workflows. Okay, Salesforce has introduced other things like process builders and flow, and Salesforce focus is that everyone should start using or use process builders and flows. Okay, but I have still added this into the interview question videos for multiple different reasons, right? Even though we will not be using workflows for any new development, but we should still have the knowledge of workflows. Okay, when you are learning Salesforce also, okay, don't skip this topic. You should still learn this topic. So the very big reason behind this is Salesforce is in the market from very long time, and many big companies have implemented hundreds and thousands of workflows, right? So they are still using it. The very first thing is if you are into a support project where there are multiple workflows, you should still know what are workflows and how it works. And the second reason is if companies have plan to migrate all the workflows into flows or process builders, then also you should still know, right? So you should understand how the current workflow is working. Then only you will be able to take a decision what we have to do and how we can convert this into uh, process builders or flows. Okay, so there is a strong reason you should still learn workflows, and I'm sure interviewers, if there is a migration project for which interviews are going on, and they might definitely ask workflows as well. Okay, the next question is, as I said, what are workflows? So workflow allows us to automate the organization business process quickly without writing any code with the following action. Basically, the reason we have workflows or any automation tool is the same thing, right? It allows us to automate the organization's business process quickly without writing code. Okay, the rest of the automation tools which we are yet to discuss, like process builders and flows, the reason for them also the same thing, right? It allows us to automate the business process without writing a code, right? So with this workflow we can do four things. We can create a task, right, and we can send an email alert, we can send field update, and then we can send an outbound messages, right? So what do you mean by each of this? Assign a task means we can create a task and assign it to one of the users, maybe an internal Salesforce user, just to follow up on things, right, with the client. And send an email alert. Maybe I want to send in a welcome email whenever a new user has been created in a portal, or maybe when I'm creating a new lead, I want to send information to maybe the sales team that your new lead has been created. So we can send an email alert to all of them, right? And the next thing is a field update, right? So for example, if I want to, based on some condition, I want to update a field, then I can use this update field. Okay, outbound message, this is a little bit tricky. You might not understand if you are really new to Salesforce, but yeah, I'll try to explain as much as I can in the future questions, right? So outbound message is to send outbound messages or data to an external system. Okay. So going on to the next question, in which order individual actions and types of actions are executed in our workflows? So just now we have seen that there are four different actions, right? What is the execution order for them, right? So execution of workflow does not guarantee the order in which individual actions are executed, right? However, field update actions are executed first. The very first thing they'll do on an object is they will execute the field updates, all the field updates first, and then it will execute maybe the task, or maybe sending an email and outbound messages, right? So if I want to give if I want to elaborate this question and give you a better example, then for example, on a lead object I have created some four field updates, okay, and I have created two tasks, right, and I have created some three email alerts, right, and then maybe one outbound message. So what will happen? Very first thing, it will execute all the four field updates we have created on the lead object as soon as a record is being saved, right? And then it takes its own decision whether it has to send an outbound message first, or add a task, or then or send an email, whatnot, right? So we don't have control over it, but Salesforce first executes field update. Okay, just remember this. What are outbound messages, or how can we send a message or data using outbound message? This is a very good question, and you should be really focused, or you should be 100% sure before answering this question. The main reason I have added this question in this interview question series is I have heard so many different answers from the candidates, right? One has gone to say that yeah, outbound messages is to send an outbound messages. Then when I ask what type of messages, and I got the reply called SMS, right? So which is 100% wrong. So you should be really careful when you are replying the answer. I would say whenever you don't know, or you're not 100% sure on any answer, just don't bluff it. Simply you can say that I don't know, okay? Because outbound messages are not very frequently used, right? So if you have not practiced, or even you will not be able to practice this when you're learning Salesforce, because it needs two systems, right? One system, which I'll explain you, like I've mentioned here, SAP and Oracle, right? You need two systems to test this as well, right? So while you're learning, you will not learn this, but don't bluff it in front of the interviewer if you have never used it or never worked on it, right? So simply say I've never worked it, but if given a chance, or if I have that in one of my requirement, I'll get deeper into it and learn it, and then I can implement it, right? So that should be the answer. So let's see what is outbound message. Outbound message use the endpoint URL, which will be provided by the systems like SAP or Oracle, right? And then endpoint URL allows us to send the data, okay? Message in the sense data from Salesforce to other systems. Like for example, on save of my, let's say for example, invoice, the invoice information should flow through to SAP, right? In that scenario, we can write an outbound messages and send the data, invoice data, whatever changes has been done in Salesforce through to SAP, because SAP is my main invoice system, right? But the sales user are having access only to invoice in Salesforce. So when they change something here, we should send that same information to SAP. So in that case, we can use outbound messages, right? So in the outbound messages, we can select which field we want to send, right? It's not like we want to send everything, but I can pick and choose, like, okay, this field I can we want to send it to the other systems, right? Because other system may not be interested in all the fields. They just need maybe five important fields from Salesforce for that invoice object, right? So we can pick and choose. So basically, so to answer this, outbound message is are used to send the data to the other systems. Okay. Next question is how many different types of email templates we can use in workflows email alert. This is also a good question. So we have four different types. We can create an email in the text format. We can create the emails in the HTML format using letterheads. We can also have a custom format wherein we without letterhead we can create. Okay, both are HTML only, right? And if there is any complexity in there, then we can go ahead and create it using the Visual Force page as well. Okay, this will be very rare or only used in a very complex scenario, but most of the time custom is something which is used. Okay. Next question is, yeah, this is again a picture of how, options are displayed when we are trying to create the template. Okay. First one is text, HTML, custom, and then Visual Force. Next question is, in the workflow field update, can we update the related object fields, or can we update the cross object fields? It's nothing but the same. Related object or cross object is nothing but same. So what do you mean by related object or cross object? Means to say if two objects are having relationship, those objects are called cross objects or related objects. Example, account and contact or account and opportunity. These are related objects because they have master detail, or they may have some lookup relationship. Okay, so that is nothing but the cross object or the related objects. Okay, interviewers can use any one of these things. Cool. So the answer to this is yes, we can update the related object fields or cross object fields in workflow field update, but there is a but over here. What is the but? Only from child to parent means if I am having account as a parent and child as an opportunity, only on opportunity up from opportunity I can update to account, right? See here. So, but only from child to parent update is possible, not the other way. If I want to update from parent, like from account to opportunity, that's not possible. Only possibility is from opportunity to account. So, in a sense, only possibility to update from child to parent, but not the other way. Let's go ahead and see. So when you try to create a workflow field update, right, and try to create that on a child object, then you will get this drop down. Okay, normally this drop down will not be there if you are creating this workflow field update on the parent object. Okay, parent object in the sense account object. I can show that screenshot for that as well. So whenever you're creating this workflow field update, you will get an option over here, field to update. You will first get the drop down of the objects, and then you will get the fields, right? So here I have option, either I can create the field update to account and or to opportunity, the same object itself, right? But when you create it from the parent, you will not have that option. Okay, so next question, what if we want to do the field update from parent to child? So as I said, we don't have an option from workflows to do the from parent to child. Then what is the option we have? So we can use process builders. Okay, this is the next topic. I'll be discussing this in detail. But with workflow, we cannot update from parent to child, right? So we can use process builders to achieve it. And the process builders can update field from parent to child as well as child to parent. Okay, so little bit advanced. So with workflows, you can do only from child to parent. Okay, remember this. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. When you're creating the mm, workflow field update on account object, see, and then you will not see the option of objects. You will directly see the option to select the fields only. Okay, fields to update, direct fields, because it's a parent object. Okay, just go ahead, log in and try to create a field update and see what happens, from the child, and what will happen from the parent, and let me know in the comments. Next question is, what are the different evaluation criteria we have in workflows? So we have now understood that workflows are used to automate the process. Okay, this is the next step. So when we start creating the workflows, then we have some evaluation criteria. Means when we have to the criteria when to trigger that workflows. Okay, so these are the three criterias when workflow can be triggered. Workflow can be triggered on created, and every time it is edited, right? I want to have a scenario wherein I want to update some fields only when the new record is created. Okay, so that time I can use just the created one. And the second scenario is whenever I want to create as well as on update, so I can use created and every time it is edited. Okay, and created and any time it is edited to subsequently meet the criteria. Okay, so here it meets the criteria, here it will meet the criteria at that particular time. Okay, I'll explain you this in detail in the future question. Okay, So basically we have three different evaluation criteria: created and every time it is edited, created and every time it is edited to subsequently meet the criteria. So you don't have to be careful on this one, but you have to be really careful, while selecting the second and third option. Okay, let's go ahead and see what is that. So this is the screenshot where, when you start creating the workflows, you will get the three options: created, and every time it is edited. And then the third one is to subsequently meet the criteria. Okay. And the next question is, what is the difference between the second and third evaluation criteria? Yeah, this is really important. Okay. You should understand this. Okay. Don't blindly create this one. Okay. You should do it based on the requirement, right? So here, the first one, the second one, created and every time it is edited. With this option, the workflow rule runs every time a record is edited, as long as a record meets the rule criteria. Okay. For example, I am saying whenever the account is having a checkbox called active, then do something, right? So as soon as this workflow sees, okay, account is having active flag set, okay, it will execute. Okay, second time also I'm editing the same record, and second time also this active flag is checked, then also it will run the workflow. Okay, so it will only see whether that flag is checked or not checked. That's it. If it is checked, even if I run that, if even if I edit or update that particular record 100 times, and 100 times it sees that, okay, if this active flag is checked, this will run 100 times. Okay. And then there is third option: created and any time it is edited to subsequently meet the criteria. Okay, focus on this. Okay, what I'm writing here: with this option, the workflow rule only runs, okay, only runs if the record is changed from not meeting the rule criteria to meeting the rule criteria. Okay, this is very important. I'm reading one more time: if the record is changed from not meeting the rule criteria to meeting the rule criteria. I will take the same example of account active flag check, right? So if I've selected the third option and I have written a workflow that only run when the account is active, okay, so what will happen? First time you edited the record and the checkbox is unchecked, okay? Now you are checking the checkbox of active and saving the record. So what is happening? Earlier, before saving that record, your checkbox was not checked. Okay, now with this save, your checkbox is checked. So only at this situation, this the third option will run. Okay, and now you save the record, then only workflow will run. Okay, and what you did is, okay, first time it's done, second time you edited the same record. Okay, but this time already active checkbox is checked. Okay, so if you select this third option, this time that workflow will not run because it is not fulfilling, even though the field is checked, but it is already checked. Okay, so the condition for the third one is it should be from unchecked to checked. Okay, from not meeting criteria to meet criteria. Okay, try this one. Okay, try this one. Go ahead and create one rule and try this one. Try to update it multiple times, the first one, and see if action is getting confirmed or not, and do the same thing for the second with the third option and see what is happening. Okay, it will, the important thing over here is it should always be not meeting criteria to meeting criteria. So this is more friendly in terms of many other things. Okay, like it doesn't, for example, after my workflow field update, I am updating something else or doing something else, right? Unnecessary. If it has it should not run the workflow, then it will not run, right? But this one, every time this will run. Okay, whether it's changed from not meeting criteria to or meeting criteria, or it is already meeting criteria, right? So it will always run. If as soon as the criteria is met, this will run. Okay, so really careful, okay, for this second and third option. Okay, let's go ahead and see what's next. What are the different options we have in workflow rule criteria? What are the different options we have in the workflow rule criteria? Okay, so first section is, to evaluation criteria. Okay, second one, we have some options, right? So options are: criteria are met or formula evaluates to true. These are the two things. So I want to run this when I have some criteria met, like for example, if the city is uh, maybe city is New York, then only I want to perform this one, right? And maybe I can write some formulas also. Okay, if I could show the screenshot, it will be clear. So here first we have selected the evaluation criteria, and the second option is rule criteria. Okay, so there are two options in rule criteria. One is criteria are met, and second one is formula evaluates to true. So as soon as we select the first one, you get these options wherein you can select. And when you select the formula evaluates to true, you will get a text box where you have to write the formula. Okay, so you can use the two options. Next, what if we neither have any criteria to meet nor any formula to evaluate? Then how can we skip the rule criteria as it is mandatory field? Yeah. So the field just now I've explained, the section just now I've explained is a mandatory section, right? You have to either select some conditions or you have to write a formula. But let's suppose you don't have any such things. You have to run this always, irrespective of anything, right? So what is that what you can do? Okay, let's see. So we can select the formula evaluates to true. So select the second option, and in the formula just enter true. Okay, so that means that we are telling the formula that you are always true. Okay, let's see how it looks. So select this formula evaluates to true. You will get a text box, write just true. So what will happen? Irrespective of anything, any condition, it will all this will always run. As soon as uh, this met the criteria, this will always run. Okay, so this, if I select this thing, then my process builder will run on creation, and 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 for created and as well as edited, right? So yeah, this is the workaround. Next question is, can we create more than one workflow for an object? Absolutely yes, right? You can create as many workflows as you can. We can create more than one workflows on an object. And the next question is, how can we view or monitor the pending time-based workflow actions? Okay, and in workflow actions we have immediate actions as well as we have time-based actions as well, right? So how can we monitor a time-based workflow action? Okay, let's go ahead and see. So go to setup, go to monitor. There is a time-based workflows. We'll see all the pending time-based workflows over here. Okay, you want to test and see whether a time-based workflow has been triggered or not, right? For example, I want to trigger after 24 hours after the creation of a case, right? So, but I want to see whether it will work or not. So you can go and see in the monitor and time-based workflows whether any record has been created to trigger that workflow. Okay, yeah, just go to the monitor time-based workflow. Here you will see what are the schedule date and time and all those things, who is created this and then created by. Okay, next question is, can we delete the pending time-based workflows actions? Okay, let's see what is the answer. Yes, we can delete the pending time-based workflow actions. Go to setup, again monitor, time-based workflows, select any pending actions we want to delete and click on the delete button. This is straightforward, but you should know this, right? Next question is, what happens to the workflow rules when the object is deleted? See, this is a really rare scenario, but no one will delete the objects in the production or real time. But this is just to trick you and try to find out whether you have really worked on workflows and you really know the concepts or not. Okay, so the answer for this one is standard objects cannot be deleted, right? As and when the custom object is deleted, then workflow rule for that object will automatically get deleted. Okay, so workflow will also get deleted straightforward, but this doesn't happen. If you want, you can try it in your personal orgs, but in real time I have rarely seen this happening. Okay, next question is, what happens when a time dependent action is in a queue, okay, and waiting for a right time to trigger, and in between we edited the record and changed the condition after which original record no longer meets the trigger criteria. Okay, so let me explain this question a little bit. Okay, if you read it for the first time you will get confused, but I would suggest read it for 2 to 3 times. This is really important. Okay, let's say for example, I have written a time-based workflow. Okay, and I said whenever a record is created and the status is new, then only send an email after 24 hours to the owner. Okay, let's suppose. But in between the 24 hours, so now what will happen? I created a case, and the status is new. Okay, and then I went ahead and okay, what will happen as soon as the case is created and the status is new, a time-based workflow record is created, right? A time-based workflow will be scheduled. So in 24 hours, it will schedule and send the case, right? But now within the 24 hours, I went ahead and updated my case and changed the status from new to in progress. Okay, because the condition is only if it is a new, then only I should send the email. But if it is in progress, I should not. But time-based workflow has been already triggered and scheduled to send an email in 24 hours. So now if I go ahead and change the status, what will happen? Okay, see this. In this scenario, the time dependent action will automatically leaves the queue. Okay, as soon as I change the status from new to in progress, the time based action will automatically leaves the queue. Okay, alternatively it will be automatically removed from the queue. So now it will no longer send an email after 24 hours because the criteria itself has been changed. Okay, so this question is also, important. Interviewers ask this to to trick you. Next question is, what is the order in which Salesforce processes the rules? Okay, let's see. Okay, these validations assignment we have already seen in my previous videos. Okay, if you have not seen the previous videos for validations and all those things, just go ahead and see. So but this is the sequence how workflow runs. That is the reason I'm giving all the steps what is happening. So the order of execution whenever we are running this workflow is, first it will run the validation rules. Okay, and then it will run the assignment rules and auto response rules, and then workflow rules, and then escalation rules. There is a big order of execution, but I've just given you a few things around workflow rules. So I just wanted to show when workflow rules number comes, right? So the number comes after validation, assignment, and auto response. Then workflow will come. Okay, and then escalation rules will run. Next question is, can we create workflow rules on the user object, and what are its limitations? Okay, obviously, right? What do you think? Can we create workflow rules on user object, right? It should, if when we can create on other objects, it should also allow us to create on user object as well, right? But yeah, because this is a question I have included in this, so it has some difference. Okay, so let's see what is the difference. So yes, we can create workflow rules on the user object, and the limitation is that it does not support creation of task, right? If you remember, workflow can do four things. What it can do? First thing is, it can create the task, it can send an email, it can update the field, and it can send the outbound message. So but for user, only it can update the field, it can send an email, it can send an outbound message, but it cannot create the task. Okay, go ahead and see. Use We cannot create tasks for users. If you go ahead and see for accounts, for contacts, for any other opportunities or anything else, you can create the task, but for users, we cannot create the task. So that is the reason workflow cannot create the task. Okay, so examples will send welcome email message with training resources to newly created users by using email alert actions. Okay, so we can send an email alert, but we cannot create the task. So when, in what cases we use email alerts for users, this is the example I'm sending. Okay, I've created a new user and then I want to send a welcome email to that users. So in that case, we can use workflows and send an email to them. Okay. Next question is, what is an approval process and how it is different from workflow rules? Okay, this is another automation tool in Salesforce. Let's go ahead and see what is it. An approval process is also used in used to automate the business process similar to workflow rules. Okay. Also, it takes automation one step further. Okay. It will allow us to specify a sequence of steps that are required to approve a record, right? Approval process. Think about it. Okay. In any normal scenario, right? In any whatever job you do, right? You have approvals, right? For example, you want to take a leave, you need approval. Okay, not necessarily always you use Salesforce, but I'm just giving an example. Whether you are into an IT or not into an IT, right? You want to take leave, you want an approval from your manager. Okay, you will take manual approvals on email and all those things. But let's say, for example, we have a system created in Salesforce, and my manager should approve any lead. Okay, when as soon as I submit for a leave request, he should approve it. So for that, we can use process builder. Sorry, approval processes. Approval process is really powerful. Okay, Salesforce has not changed this. Okay, because yeah, it is it has really powerful features. Okay, and what else we have? All the workflow actions like creating a task, update field, sending an email, and outbound message are supported in the approval process. Right? In approval process, also we can do these things. First manager approved, then you can send an email. If as soon as the first manager approves, you can update the field. Right? As soon as the first manager updates, you can create a task for someone else. Right? So all those things we can do this in approval processes. Okay, give an example of where we will implement the approval process. I think I've just explained, right? If an employee has to apply for leave which should be approved by his manager or HR manager, then in this case approval process can be used. Okay, this can be achieved by using only a single step approval process, because just one manager, I need single step. Okay, if I have multiple managers to submit, then you can you still use multiple step as well. Okay, the next question is, give a complex example where we will implement a multi-step approval process. When do we? So the interviewer can test your ability whether you have really worked on approval process or not. Okay, so he will ask you, okay, in what scenario you will use multi-step approval process, right? It's let's see the answer. So a multi-step approval process is used in a scenario where we need more than one person approval. Okay. So let me explain this example, okay, without reading it. Let's say, for example, you are in a sales team, right? And you are sending a quote and proposal to the customers, right? And customer, you're giving a 30% discount to, right, to the customer, right? And then for giving 30% discount, you need an approval from the manager, right? So you set up approval process and a manager approves, right? And also, if you're giving more discount than 30%, right? So they have, okay, your manager, immediate manager is having the ability to approve only 30% of discount, right? But if it is more than 30%, like 30 to 50% or 30 to 70%, then his manager, like your senior manager, should approve it, right? So this will require multi-step, right? First level manager will approve, then it will go to the second level manager, and then he approves, then only this quote will get approved. Okay, so this can be achieved using a multi-step approval process. Okay, how can we how can a user submit the record for approval? See, this is a very simple question. It should have been not should have not been a part of this interview question series also. But what I've seen, um, sometimes interviewers ask a very simple question. Okay, but we think as a candidate, we think that, okay, he's asking this is in an interview, but this should be a really complex thing. Okay, sometimes we tend to think like this. Okay, so don't always, whether it's a simple or complex, don't think that, okay, why the interview will ask me a simple question. Okay, he can ask anything. He can ask a simple question, he can ask a complex question. If it is simple, just answer in simple words what is the answer for this. Okay, don't get panic and don't try to change it, or don't try to elaborate the answer even you cannot elaborate, right? So this is also based on few answers I received, and I think few of the uh, I've heard a few of the candidates have even got rejected also. Okay. This is very simple thing. How can a user submits a record for the approval? Okay, the simple answer is there. As soon as we set up a approval process, you will get a button called submit for approval, right? So you click on a button submit for approval, then approval is submitted, right? This is really simple, but people try to think that, okay, how can an interviewer ask a simple question, right? No, interviewer can ask a simple question as well, right? So let's go ahead and see what is this. As soon as the approval process set up on a particular object, submit for approval button will be displayed on the record page, right? If this submit for approval button is not displayed, then we can get it from the page layout. Okay, for some reason if it is not displayed, just go ahead and check submit for approval in that page layout. Okay, and apart from the button, there is a related list approval history, okay, displayed on the records page layout with submit for approval button on it, right? We can use any of these buttons to submit for the approval. So button will be on the approval history as well as on the top. Okay, you can go ahead and submit this, and then you will be able to submit the record for approval. Okay, let's go ahead and see how it looks. So here is the submit for approval button, and here is the history. Okay, related list with approval history. Okay, so click on the submit for approval, the record will be submitted. Simple answer, just give it in the simple words. Next question is, can the user recall the submitted approval record? Yes. Okay. So yes, we can configure this in the approval process. If allow submitter to recall approval request is selected, then the user will be able to recall the approval process. Let's see how it looks. Okay. So when you are setting up the approval process, you will see this option. Okay. Allow submitter to recall approval request. When this will be needed, let's say for example I have submitted for leave, okay, to my manager, but I realized after submitting, okay, I have entered wrong dates. Okay, then quickly I can click on recall button, and then change the dates, okay, or correct the dates and then submit again. So in those situations, this recall is required. Again, all is based on your requirements. Okay, if you don't need it, just don't select this. Next question, can the approver reassign the record to another user for approval? Okay. Before even reading this or listening this to these questions, go ahead and practice the approval process thoroughly. Okay. You should know what will happen if you submit a record. It will go to the manager, how the manager see, okay, because he is also having an option to reassign. There is a link called reassign. Okay, don't simply directly jump to this interview questions. First practice this approval process, and then only read all this or listen to all these questions. Okay, so I'll repeat the question again. Can the approver reassign the records to another user for approval? The answer is yes. The original user can reassign the record to another user for approval. Okay. What is a delegated user in Salesforce? Okay, let's see. A delegated user or approval is an alternate approver for any users. Okay, in real time scenario, when this will be used, I'll tell you. Let's say, for example, my manager is responsible for approving all my leaves. But let's say, for example, my manager is on leave. Okay, he might be away and I need an approval for the leave. So then there is a setting in Salesforce user. We can, every person can have a delegated user. Okay, so that delegated user can approve on my manager's behalf when he is absent. Okay, so let's see. So the delegated user field is available in the user object. If this field is populated and the option the approver's delegate may also approve this request is selected in the approval process, then actual user and the delegated user both will receive the notification to approve the request. Okay, delegated users cannot reassign the approval request. They can only approve or reject. Okay, they can only approve or reject. Let's see how it looks. So this is the user record. Just go ahead and see today. We have a section called approver settings. There you will see delegated approver. Okay, here every user's record should have this if he is a manager or something. Okay, or some delegations are required, it should be there. Okay, it's not a compulsory, but if you're expecting, when in his absence someone should approve, then this should be filled. Okay. And then receive approval request emails only if I am an approver. Okay. Then he will receive an approver, in my manager's absence, that person can approve my leaves. Okay. Okay, next question is, this is important. Okay. I have seen this almost more than, majority of the percentage of students stuck there when they start using this approval processes. Okay, let's see what is the question first. Sometimes when the user clicks submit for approval button, then we get the below error. What is the reason? Okay, the reason is, what could be the reason? Okay, let's see. Unable to submit for approval. This record does not meet the criteria or initial submitters of any active approval process. Please contact your administrator for assistance. Okay. So what happens, right, when we set up an approval process, you have an entry criteria. Okay. So entry criteria is, okay, only if the status is equals to new or something, new or draft, then only trigger the approval process. Okay. But if it is in process, or it is approved, or if it is something else, closed, then don't trigger the approval process, right? So if the entry criteria is not meeting, then only you will get this error. Okay, unable to submit for approval. This record does not meet the entry criteria or initial submitters for any active approval processes. Please contact your system administrator. Don't panic. Just go ahead and see what is there in the entry criteria and what is there on the records status. Okay. So every approval process has entry criteria, which means when we submit any record, it should meet that entry, that criteria, right, or condition to enter into the approval process. If that criteria do not meet, then only we get this error. Okay. Example, if the approval entry criteria says if status is equals to new or draft, then only enter into the approval process. So if the status is anything else, and this is anything apart from new and draft, then we will get this error. Okay. So if your record is not new and your record is not draft and your client trying to hit the submit for approval, you will get this message. Okay. Try this and let me know in the comments if you're able to see this error or not. Okay. Let's go and see. See, this is the entry criteria. Account active equals to yes. Okay. And if the account is not active, like active equals to no, and you're trying to hit the submit for approval button, then you will get this error. Okay. This error. Next question is, can the users edit the record while it is in pending approval? No. Okay. Because I've already submitted my leave request, right? I cannot edit until and unless the user or the manager approves it, right? If you don't have recall button, then no, you cannot even recall also. Okay. But if you have recall button, you click recall, then you update it. Okay. So the approval process will lock the record so that the users cannot edit while it is pending approval. Okay. Only the administrators or approvers can edit the records during the approval process. Try this as well. Can a record be automatically approved, rejected, or skipped based on a specific criteria? Can we do this? Okay. For example, my manager is getting continuous mails. Okay. If it is less than 30 less than 30% of I would say discount, then he's getting hundreds of email every day, right? What should we do, right? We skip that, or can we auto approve that? Let's see if that option is there or not. Okay. So yes, we can set an entry criteria for each step of process and configure approval process in such a way that it can approve, reject, or skip the approval processes if the record does not meet the entry criteria. Okay. So we can do so, right? We can automatically approve it. We can skip as well as, I can skip the step one. Okay. Not required if it is less than 30%. Only greater than 30% discount is required in approval, right? So first level, I'll auto approve the approval process, right? Only few records they will pick and audit it, and then that's it, right? No need to see hundreds of emails. So in that case, we can do this. Okay. Example, all the expenses submitted by a user with an amount not exceeding less than 15% are automatically approved, right? This is another example. Okay. What are the different wizards we have in Salesforce approval process, and which one should the user use? Let's see. So we have two wizards in Salesforce approval process. First one is the jump wizard. Normally start with this, and then we have standard wizard as well. But your wish, if you're just starting, go with the jump wizard, and if you're comfortable to standard wizard, just you can go standard wizard as well. Okay. So when we create an approval process which uses a single step, then use the jumpstart wizard. Okay. This wizard will choose some default options for us. Okay. Whereas when we create a more complex approval processes, then we can use a standard wizard. Okay, like this. Here we have an option when we are creating approval process on account or any other object, jump wizard as well as the standard setup wizard. Is it possible to trigger the approval process without the user clicking on the submit for approval button? Okay. Sometimes user forgets, right? Submitting for approval. So I want to automatically, if some conditions are meeting, I want to automatically submit this record for approval. Okay. So let's say, for example, yeah, I have an application, client facing application, or maybe, I have implemented a partner portal. Okay. My partners are creating the leads and giving them discounts. Okay. And as soon as they created a lead with a 30%, 30%, more than 30% discount, I want it to auto submit, right? So for that purpose also, we can do so. Yes, we can automatically trigger the approval process without user's intervention. Okay, this can be achieved using a trigger. Okay, you might need a trigger to be written, or a development effort is required to achieve this requirement. Okay, this option is not available in via point and click. Okay, can the users approve the approval request via email? Okay, because I am, let's say, for example, executives, right? Or maybe people who are on the go. They don't always be on the system, right? Or on the laptop to approve or reject. Okay, so but they have mobile phones and they have access to email. Can they approve, right? So let's see if we have this option or not. Yes, users can respond to an approval request email and type approve. Okay, as soon as they receive an email for approval, okay, they can simply respond to it with the message called approve or reject and send the email, right? It will automatically approve or reject based on the response. This is a really good feature, right? Because if I'm a manager on the go, I'm not opening my laptop for 3 to 4 days or for a week also, right? Then it's very convenient. I just respond to the email, and then say approve or reject, right? So to enable this response, go to setup, search process automation settings, and then select enable email approval response. Okay, as soon as you do this and the manager respond via email with these words approve or reject, then automatically it will be approved or reject. This is a really good feature. Try this. Apart from assigned approvers and delegated approvers, who else can approve the approval request? Okay, should someone else approve? Should also approve? No, right? Normally, no one should approve apart from my approver. But let's see who else can approve. Okay. Users with modify all data and modify all for an object can respond to approval request even if they are not designated approver. That is the reason in one of the video I have stressed a lot, okay, that do not give this modify all permission to any normal users, okay? Only if it is a super user, only if he needs this, then only give it, because it will open up so many options for those users, okay? So if you have modify all data on your profile, then you will be able to approve any approvals for that particular object. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope this video help you prepare for Salesforce interview and crack your next job. If you like this video, make sure you hit a like and subscribe to my channel right now. That way you don't miss out interview question and answer videos like this. Okay, and if you want to read more Salesforce interview questions, head to my blog. I will give the link in the description or in the comments. Thank you.